Interest rates come back down, and you know what? I got a 1% down payment loan program for that first-time home buyer who is not VA and is not USDA. So stay tuned for that. First, let's get into the housing report. This was a big week. We're going to get right into the news. So much to talk about. Let's talk about the big three. Prices. Prices are steady. We had a Honolulu Board of Realtors housing report come out for the month of May. We'll get into that. Inventory is up still. And interest rates, like I said, interest rates are down. We'll go into that a little bit more. So here's what the headlines were. Honolulu housing market is sluggish. We are seeing signs of a sluggish market in Honolulu. That is the island of Oahu. That's Honolulu County. Inflation showed that it has not been impacted by the tariffs. All right, we have some good inflation news, and that, my friends, may help Fed make their decision next week to lower the Fed funds rate. But we got more. All right, one of the reasons why is because unemployment is showing signs of cracking. All right, let's get into some of the specifics here. First, we have the Honolulu Board of Realtors, a housing report for Oahu single-family homes and condos. And we see steadiness in the median sales price for single-family homes at $1.175 million. And condos, still right at that $500,000 range. Year over year, 2025 was supposed to be the year of resurgence in the housing market. Well, that ain't happening, folks. We are down from last year even at minus 5.6% year over year in home sales, single-family homes, and condos down 21.8% year over year. But let's look at the recent trends. Let's look at month over month. All right, there's some big numbers here, so let's get into this. May sales, again, continued slump. We're still lagging behind compared to last year, and again, last year sucked. Home prices are steady. We just talked about that. Median days on market. All right, they actually dropped for both condos and for single-family homes. You can see condos were down from 43 to 39, so homes are not staying on the market quite as long, but there's just so many and so few of them that are being sold. And then we got months of supply. All right, take a look at this. 7.1 months of supply for condos. Man, we are in a buyer's market for condos right now. All right, it had never been better. All right, and then we're at 3.6. We actually saw an increase for single-family homes from 3.5 to 3.6%. So really just you expect that May is the start, and we'll show you some of these numbers. May is where that housing season, the PCS season, school is out, people are moving. Hey, people want to move, but their homes aren't selling. All right, so let's take a look at new listings. We just had the largest number of new single-family home new listings since May of 2022. At 392 single-family homes. We did see a big drop in condos, though. So you can see on this graph, you see big drop in condos, about 17% drop in condos, another increase for single-family homes. When single-family homes go up and they stay up, there's a problem in the housing market because everybody wants a single-family home. Just to show you the importance of this, when single-family home number of new listings rise, well, you know what? It should be like that, right? You should normally see that, but we're seeing a continuous rise. What about the active inventory? That is the next thing we'll take a look at, because active inventory is even more important. And active inventory, single-family homes, we have more active inventory now. That number has gone up yet again to 3,374. So again, another increase, the highest level of active inventory in Oahu in 10 years, people. Look at that. And look at those condos. Slow down a little bit, all right, because we had fewer new listings, fewer homes off the market. But you can see the single-family homes inching up. This right now for buyers, if you're a buyer on the island of Oahu, different parts of Oahu, I tell you what, you have some serious bargaining power right now. And I talked to numerous agents this weekend who had open houses, and it's crickets. They have very few buyers coming in and looking at their homes overall. Now, I will tell you this. I did have a Kāneʻohe, Kailua, and I had one client. He lost out. There were 12 other offers on that property in Kāneʻohe. So Kāneʻohe, Kailua, even Hawaii Kai, you're seeing a lot of offers still. But for the rest of the island, man, I tell you what, homes are sitting longer. All right, so looking at the number of closed sales, you can see the dip. Man, the spring housing season has basically ended with a whimper. No fun there. Last year, the peak home sales was in May. Now, if things stay the same and April is the peak, what that points to is a very bleak summer of home sales in Oahu. And what does that mean for buyers coming in? Hey, you're going to have an opportunity to basically get homes that are on sale. All right, on sale. For sale, on sale. Great amount of seller concessions because sellers have to move. They got to sell their home. All right, some people are actually losing money on their homes right now. I tell you what, I sent something out to all of my agents. It's a cost of waiting talking points. And it shows that, hey, the time to buy is now, even with rates high, all right, because you can get a 2-1 buy down, even a 5-1 arm. All right, 5-1 arm, you're getting rates that are, a half a point lower, maybe even a little more than that, than what regular VA rates are, or even conventional rates are. And at a 5, that gives you 5 years of basically stability at a lower payment. You can get a seller to help buy you down. I had a couple guys locked this week, mid 5s on 5-1 arms, which was a better deal than a 2-1 buy down. And guess what? They're not paying closing costs either, folks. All right, so the time now is to buy is now. If you wait for rates to come down to 5.5%, guess what? You're not getting those seller credits anymore. You're going to have to pay your closing costs. If you wait for rates to get down to 5%, well, guess what? That $1 million home that you could have bought at 6%, it's now at 1.1 million. Oh yeah, and you are not going to get any seller credit, and you may actually have to pay your buyer's agent. It could be very expensive waiting. There is a big cost of waiting. So your realtor should have this cost of waiting example. I really recommend you take a look at it with them. If they don't have it, come see me because I'll give it to you and I'll walk you through it. All right. Again, the time to buy for folks is now. And yeah, I'm a loan officer, got it. But this is it. This is the best time to buy. And you just look at the numbers. Look at the numbers. Look at the lower mortgage payment. Big time. Big time. All right. So what's next? Let's look at the median sales price. Hey, this is where the rubber meets the road, folks. Median sales price. Look at that. We are inching closer to $1.2 million for a median sales price for single family homes. And but we're not there yet. At some point, the market will break, but when? And will it break up or will it break down? Let's hope it doesn't break down. Hope it's not a course of action, though. But once those rates start to fall, expect these numbers to go up. 500,000 still right about where we're at for condos. You got a couple different things you're looking at with the housing market. Home prices are steady, but there's such a big inventory. Home prices are coming down. I'm seeing price reductions. I just had a friend lower the price on his house by $100,000. Well, you might think, gosh, he's losing money. No, he's still going to make around $450,000. But it's not that the home isn't valuable. It's just that it's not affordable for folks. So anyway, as a seller, before you think about lowering that price, let's think about giving seller credits to help that buyer make that price affordable. A $20,000 drop in the price doesn't really help. $20,000 in seller credits helps a lot. And now let's look at the big inflation news. And this is the reason why rates are down this week. This is great news. May CPI, the expectations on core CPI were that it would go from 2.8% to 2.9% because, hey, the tariff effects didn't happen in April. They got to happen in May. Well, guess what, people? They didn't. All right. The fear mongers were wrong. Inflation is steady at 2.8 core. And if you look at the 3-month run rate for inflation, the core inflation at 1.7%. Folks, that's below the 2% the Fed wants. And maybe that's the news the Fed needs to lower the Fed funds rate. We already know that unemployment is up and it will continue to go up. All right, they want inflation down. Well, this shows you 3-month run rate 1.7%, 6-month at 2.6, and 12-month at 2.8. The May CPI which was at 2.3% in April, went up to 2.4%. That is the overall CPI, which is still near a 4-year low. On Thursday, we had the PPI, which is a producer price index, and that actually came in lower than expected too, which was another 2 days in a row that interest rates were coming down. So that was great news. And here's the other thing. We had a 10-year Treasury auction on Wednesday, and that was met with strong demand, not just by domestic, but foreign investments in our 10-year Treasuries was very strong, which means, folks, talk is cheap. they still want our money. Their foreign countries are still investing in our money. They know the value of investing in the U.S. All right, so those things alone, all right, are a good reason for interest rates to come down and to continue to come down in the future. Now let's get to the jobless claims. And the jobless claims this week, well, really, actually, it's this entire last 3 weeks shows that the BLS jobs report is a joke, people. And here's what we're looking at. Initial claims. I've been looking at initial claims. That's one of the first things I look at every week when I do this report. And I really haven't put too much credence in it because we would get a one-time spike and people will get all excited. And then I'm like, hey, one report doth not a trend make. And you can see in this graph a bunch of spikes up, one-offs, and then the next week it's down. 3 weeks in a row where the initial jobless claims have been elevated. We've had 2 weeks at 248,000 initial jobless claims. All right, I think we're seeing a trend now. And if we see this continue to go up, that has got to be the news the Fed needs to verify, to validate that BLS jobs report is not accurate. And let's take a look at continuing claims. Continuing claims, we have been below 1.9 million, really in the 1.7 to 1.8 million continuing claims for much of the last year and a half, and we haven't really spiked to 1.9. And I've been saying we need to be above 2 million for the Fed to take action. Well, folks, for the third week in a row, we're at above 1.9 million. We're at 1.96 million continuous claims. And remember, continuous claims every 26 months, typically, if you're receiving unemployment benefits, you drop off. Well, people are dropping off, but there are more people coming on. And that is what we're seeing. Look at this chart. You can see this recent spike. If that doesn't tell you something, I don't know what you need, Fed, to get you off your butts and to press the button or whatever you got to do to lower the Fed's funds rate. All right, we're at the highest level of continuing claims since November of 2021. Let's take a look and see what the impact on interest rates have been. VA rates in particular, hey, they are down. We started the week above 6.5%. We are now back below 6.5% at 6.4% on Thursday. And, a big report coming. That's not really a big report, but the University of Michigan Consumer Sentiment Index, I expect it's going to be a good one. Probably see interest rates probably steady out. I don't think we'll get much below 6.4%. A lot of it, I think, really will depend on any tariff talk, any Fed talk on what they could possibly do and what they're reading on all of the economic data is. Expect to stay above 6.25 until the Fed makes their rate decision next week. And again, next week is Fed week, people. The Fed is meeting. The Fed will make their decision on whether or not to cut their Fed funds rate, and they'll also do a prediction on the number of Fed cuts they expect to make and how much over the course of the rest of this year and then into next year. And what does this mean? Well, mortgage apps rebounded. They were up 10% for purchasers and 16% for refinancers week over week. So that's good. And you're supposed to see an increase because it's moving season, folks. And again, buyers coming into Wahoo, you are seeing for sale sign after for sale sign. They're all over the place. That should tell you. All right, there's two ways you can read that. Oh my God, the housing market is crashing. I just watched The Big Short. I watch it every couple months. You see all the for sale signs. It's a little different here. People are still living in the homes mostly. All right, but you see a lot of for sale signs. So what that should mean, what that should click for you buyers is, I got a chance to bargain. All right, and if you're going to open house and that buyer's agent or that agent in the house is excited to see you and isn't busy, maybe you woke him up when you walked in the house. That should tell you got some bargaining power. So get in the open houses. I talked to several agents over the last couple weeks, and open houses have been very slow, except with the exception of Kāneʻohe, Kailua. You're seeing some major movement on homes. Let's look at sellers. Hey, this weak spring season. Yes, it has been a weak spring selling season. If we don't get rates down, you're going to see a weak summer selling season. So don't give up. Just, hey, talk to your listing agent. Hey, if you got a good loan officer, talk to them. Ask them, hey, what can we do to mitigate this risk, to maybe get our home off the market a little quicker? I know I talk to my clients all the time. I talk to my agents that I work with all the time, trying to help them help their sellers not just their buyers, but help them help their sellers get their homes off the market. And now, what everybody has been waiting for. I tell you, I did this loan last year. We had this loan available last year. It is a conventional 1% down, conventional 30-year fixed rate VA loan. There's a couple of requirements here. One, you must be at or below the 80% area median income. All right, that is, not everyone is, and this isn't for $1 million home, folks. This is for really up to about a $350,000 loan. You do 1% down, and UWM, the bank that I work, one of the banks that I work with, they are going to pay the other 2% down, up to $7,000. Wow, let me tell you what. And in this market with homes that are sitting, you pair that, you combine that 2% down payment assistance with a $10,000 seller credit. Your closing costs are covered. You can do a permanent buy down on the rate, and you're going to pay maybe, on a $350,000 loan, that's $3,500 out of pocket. The other $7,000 comes from UWM, and you don't ever have to pay it back. All right, yeah, you got mortgage insurance, but the key is you get a home. You get a home that you're really putting minimal money out of pocket on, and you get your home. First-time home buyers, hey, you're not going to buy a mansion on your first home, folks. Get the home. Take that first step. I wouldn't own the number of properties I had if I hadn't bought my first home. And my first home, well, ultimately, it was not my forever home. I thought maybe it was, but it wasn't. And for most people, that first home is not the forever home, but it will help them get to their forever home later. So this is a great program. 1% down payment, 2% paid by the bank. You never have to pay it back. $350,000 is about the max. If you go over, you're going to have to come up with that difference, but still a great product. And paired with a buyer's market that we have now, a first-time home buyer, you have a great opportunity here. It's free money. All right. Aloha. You guys have a great week. Let me know. Do you have a client? Do you have a friend who could benefit from this loan? Let me know. Hit me in the comments. I would love to talk to them and educate them on this incredible product. All right. Aloha.